What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. This is a channel where we go to crypto news followed by 5 charts every day. Today we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, NEO, QTUM, and AXS. And as always, timestamps are down in the description below. Make sure that subscribe button and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. The crypto market is pumping, guys. Bitcoin pushing around 42,000, Ethereum above 2,500. We have so many gainers across the market. Polkadot having a great day. Solana having a great day. NEO, QTUM, we'll be diving into those charts later on in the video. But overall, the market will keep pumping as long as Bitcoin keeps pushing these highs. The question is, when is that going to slow down? Because we are above 10 daily green candles at this point. The market does look crazy bullish, but there is no denying that 10 daily green candles is not something to just ignore. That is something you have to be very cautious of as far as price action goes, that at some point we're going to have to see a red candle on one of these daily candles for Bitcoin. And at this point, it's just a waiting game. But overall, the market looks crazy bullish and there is so much opportunity out there. I really didn't see too many interesting articles when looking through the news today. Most of them were related to MicroStrategy and their Bitcoin investments, as well as the Ethereum hard fork, things that we have already covered. However, I did want to touch on this. German law allowing institutional funds to hold crypto comes into effect August 2nd. Beginning on August 2nd, 2021, German institutional funds will be able to hold up to 20% of their assets in cryptocurrencies, possibly setting the stage for wider mainstream acceptance of Bitcoin and other crypto assets by the nation's pension funds. As much as $415 billion worth of investments could flow into cryptocurrencies as new laws governing German special funds go into effect. We see more institutional interest in crypto all the time, but for a German law to allow institutional funds to hold crypto is massive news. For a country like Germany to be setting this precedent, especially in a few days from now, is such a big move. And in my opinion, that could be the first domino to see more and more European countries getting involved. August 2nd is just a few days away, and the London hard fork is just a few days after that. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on this, see how it all develops, and see if it affects price action in the coming weeks. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's zoom in here. We are 14 minutes away at the time of filming this before this daily candle closes. Let's turn on our notes from before. As far as price action goes and this candle, it really does not look bad. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 daily green candles. And for this to be the type of candle that this next one closes on, this just does not look that bad. At some point, there's going to have to be some kind of correction. But if we jump over to the 4-hour chart, let's take a look at what's going on there. Looking at the 4-hour chart, let's zoom out here and take a look. Stochastic RSI, let me move this over so it's nice and clear for you guys. Stochastic RSI is high, but it's come down a little bit and still has room to pump. As far as the conversion line and baseline go, they are a little bit close together, but nothing terrible that I would be too concerned about as far as a pullback. I mean, my targets on a pullback would still be the same as yesterday, but this still looks bullish. And if we jump back to the daily chart, the thing that is most shocking to me at the moment is Kumo cloud is starting to indicate a bit of an uptrend on the daily. Conversion line, baseline, they started to spread out a few days ago. They're still spread out. If that baseline and conversion line head up to that Kumo cloud and we start to see that lagging span creep up around here, that's a potential breakout, and it is just as confusing to me as it is to pretty much everybody for the time being. This is too many green candles in a row, and at some point there's going to have to be a correction or at the very least a consolidation period, maybe tight in this range. But price action has just been wild lately. And I know the last few months has made everybody kind of skeptical about price action, and we're seeing a lot of people turn into perma bears. For the longest time, if you guys follow me on Twitter as well as this channel, I've always said that Bitcoin looks very bearish. But over the last week or so, I kept saying, I'm like, this is starting to look potentially bullish. And I need to show you guys, I figured out a way that might be a little different, but this might give you guys some indication as to why this setup just looks so different than what has previously happened with the pushes back here and some of the pumps back here. So let's try something a little different. Hopefully this helps make things a little bit more clear for everybody. So behind me is a chart of Bitcoin on March 25th, and everything still looks decently bullish. Stochastic RSI is low. Price is kind of dipping a little bit below the conversion and baseline, but it's still above the baseline, and it's so far away from the Kumo cloud. We kind of seen it dip back and forth here. Still no cause for concern. So I'm going to hit play and show you guys how this developed up until today. I'm just going to add one line on the RSI before I hit play, and we're going to put it right here on 50, just so we have a bit of a clear indication of where the trend is. So you can kind of see here it had dipped below 50 a couple times before around mid-January. Nothing to be too concerned about, because from the start around October, you can see the RSI is in a nice uptrend, bouncing off 50, dipping below a couple times, but a decent uptrend. But around here, we are starting to see a bit of indication on the RSI that there might be a downtrend. But I'm going to hit play and we're going to watch this develop. I'm going to zoom in here so it's nice and clear. So you can see the price action RSI bounces off of that 50. Everything's still nice and above the conversion line. Kumo Cloud showing a bit of an uptrend. And we're going to take a look here. Prices start to push up into the 60s and then boom, starts to fall into the Kumo Cloud. And we're going to pause right here. So let's stop things here for a moment and talk about the daily chart on April the 28th and what we would have been seeing if we've been looking at the chart together. We can see here that for the first time since early January, October, we are seeing for the first time that Bitcoin has dipped into the Kumo Cloud. Not only dipped into the Kumo Cloud, but dipped below on around April the 26th. On top of that, we are seeing a trend change in the Kumo Cloud. We are getting some pretty clear indication that this is the first legitimately bearish signal that Bitcoin is giving in this bull run. And let's zoom in on the RSI and take a look at that together as well and talk about what we are seeing. So for the first time throughout that entire bullish momentum that Bitcoin was showing, the RSI has now dipped well below 50, attempting to reclaim it and showing signs of rejection. So what do we have here? We have Bitcoin's Kumo Cloud showing a trend change. We have Bitcoin dipping below the Kumo Cloud for the first time throughout all of this bullish momentum. And we're getting a bit of indication that prices are about to head down. So let's hit play and continue. So I'm going to try and go candle by candle here so we don't go too crazy. So what are we seeing now? We see the Kumo Cloud is showing a bit of indecision, kind of mixing back and forth, which is a possibility as far as the trend change goes currently that I've talked about. The Kumo Cloud, we want to see a nice wide opening if there's going to be a trend change, and we're not seeing that as far as Bitcoin goes right now. But you can see here, right around there, it gets rejected, falls through the Kumo Cloud. Trend change went from red to red. We're getting a bit of indication now that price action is going lower. It's also dipped below right here as far as price action, dipped below 46.7, another indication that prices are going to continue downward. And let's just zoom in on the RSI so I can show you guys something. You see the RSI here also showing indication of trying to reclaim that uptrend and getting rejected. And although price action is showing a bit of a reversal here, you see how low the RSI is. And this is a very concerning situation as far as price action goes. I'd expect it to maybe push back up to this resistance area here, maybe even retest it, but this is showing an indication of a downtrend. So let's hit play and continue. Actually, one more thing before we do that. You can see here that the lagging span is about to peak through. Baseline conversion line is also about to peak through. So we're going to go candle by candle so I can show you guys exactly what happened. And just to add that in real time, I would be checking shorter time frames to watch the patterns play out. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to look at the daily chart. We're going to watch this play out. So let's go candle by candle. Let's go, what is it, this button here? Yeah. So right around here is where I would get nervous, not because of this giant red candle. I mean, that would be an indication that would also worry me too. The RSI is shooting lower, but the lagging span has shot out. Conversion line and baseline are out as well. Kumo Cloud is indicating a downtrend. I'd expect it to bounce off the moving average, but the fact that the lagging span has popped out, conversion line and baseline are still squished together, so I would have some kind of hope for price action, but this setup alone would already set me very nervous as far as price action goes. So we go candle, candle, bounces off of the moving average there, and right around here, conversion line, baseline pushes it lower, lagging span comes shooting down, candle, candle, and then right around here is when I would also get very nervous about price action. The reason being that the baseline is now above the conversion line, they're nice and spread out, and the lagging span is way back out here. Now, I'm not trying to turn this into a tutorial about how to use these indicators. We can do that another time. I just want to say that why things look different now than they did. So we're going to continue on with these candles here. So this is a very bearish setup. Think of the opposite of this, right? You have the Kumo Cloud here, baseline nice and below, conversion line above that, lagging span there. And now we see the flip side scenario. Baseline is now on top, conversion line is below, lagging span's way over here, and the Kumo Cloud is starting to spread out nice and wide. So where this gets a little tricky is this is around, what day is this? This would be around May 22nd. We got that nice bounce off of around 30,000, the May 19th crash, as well as a big jump back up towards 42,000. But to anybody looking at this chart, things are very clear that this has become a very bearish setup, and prices are going to continue to trend sideways and down. So let's continue this. You can see here conversion line riding that price down. Baseline is way up there. And for anybody on any of these pumps to be saying price is going back up when this is so clearly such a bearish scenario was mind-blowing to me. But as far as price action goes, let's just continue candle by candle. So looking at this, by the way, as we go candle by candle here, at no point does any of this look bullish. You can see the RSI is way down low. This Kumo cloud is indicating such a massive downtrend. Baseline is coming in towards the conversion line a bit, but it really doesn't matter because it's going to push it down as rejection as far as resistance goes, because that's how it's going to act. It did shoot up here around 39,000. I believe this was the first attempt to try and reclaim 41,000, getting rejected on that moving average, and then right back down, trying to claim a bit of support on the conversion line. Still no dice. And on top of that, you can see here the RSI, another indication that the price action is still in a downtrend, and this Kumo cloud showing no signs of reversal. So for those of you guys following me on Twitter during this time and I kept saying prices are going to be trending lower, is because all the indicators were pointing to lower. I mean, look at this Kumo cloud from what I've explained to you. So we're going to continue forward a little bit. Kumo cloud still showing no signs of a reversal. All of these rejections every time it ever even came close towards the cloud. And right around here, things start to get interesting because you can see that the cloud is starting to squish together, as well as some of these lower price targets are starting to build a bit of support in this range. Let's continue a little bit closer to this date. Prices push a little bit lower, but you can see that Kumo cloud is starting to get closer and closer together. Prices push down to around 30,000, and then boom. And then this was the initial actual attempt to push into the Kumo cloud. So this was July 24th, and this was the first time that Bitcoin actually challenged the Kumo cloud, which I said was the most bullish thing we've seen from Bitcoin in quite some time. Let's just continue to today's date, and right around here where that crazy liquidation of shorts happened is where you see the Kumo cloud start to squish together, and the RSI shoots way up into uptrend zone. And that just continues. Look at that RSI way up there. Price action shoots out of the Kumo cloud. Kumo cloud also showing a bit of reversal, lagging span way out there. And then here we are on today's date. So what was the point of me showing all you guys this? And the point is the fact that I want you to get a clear image of what has happened from May 19th or really around mid-March until now as far as the indicators go. This is a very different looking Bitcoin than we have seen this entire crash. When you look at it from this perspective, this is a very different Bitcoin than we've seen this entire crash. So as far as price action goes, we're seeing indicators. We're seeing an uptrend indicator on the daily there. We're seeing the conversion line and baseline spread out. We're seeing that the lagging span might shoot through in price, and Bitcoin is continuing to push up in price. Not to mention, look at this RSI and compare that to all these previous months when Bitcoin was in a bull run. This isn't me saying that we're going back to 60K or 50K or 100K. I don't talk like that. As far as price action goes, all I'm trying to show you guys is that this is a very different Bitcoin than we have dealt with this entire downtrend, and there is a possibility that we may see a trend change. That doesn't mean that the Kumo cloud might not switch back over and prices continue down. That can happen. It happens all the time. But the bottom line is that this is just a very different looking Bitcoin than we have seen the last few months. So let's talk about price targets now that we went through that whole little Bitcoin movie. As far as price targets go, I'm still looking for that pullback to around 38.5. 38.5 is going to be the key indicator for me if this is going to continue to push up in price or push down in price. If it can manage to stay above 38.5, Bitcoin is in a bullish state. Would not be surprised to see it head toward around that 43,000, 44,000 mark we were talking about, and then possibly continue up from there. As far as pullbacks go though, 38.5 is the main one, and then I'll be looking at these lower ones around 37.5, and below that I'll keep my eye on 35.6, but 38.5 is still the main target for Bitcoin on a pullback, and if it manages to get above 43, 44K, it's going to keep pushing potentially. But as far as price targets go, resistance, 43 to 44K are the big ones, but 43.5 is going to be the current one. I know 42.5 is the current one that we're watching, but Bitcoin looks decent. I would not be surprised to see it push above 42. So the one I'm going to be watching is around 43.5. As far as the pullback goes, 38.5 is the main one. because 38.5 is going to be that key indicator for me of how I'm going to plan out my trades in the coming days. How it reacts to that 38.5 support level, if and when it pulls back to there, will give me some indication if this uptrend or downtrend is going to continue. Not to mention, I'll keep an eye on that Kumo Cloud trend change, obviously, as well. But 38.5 is going to be that big support level. And if we jump over to the 4-hour chart, let me just show you guys this as well. Bitcoin is pretty much just consolidating. I mean, look at the stochastic RSI coming down a little bit. RSI also still high up in uptrend. Kumo Cloud, conversion line, baseline, lagging span. I mean, everything is a green light to continue this pump for now. The only thing that is holding everything back, in my opinion, is this is just too many green candles in a row. As far as price action goes, there has to be some kind of pullback. So 38.5 is going to be my first target as far as the pullback goes. Below there, 37.5 and 35.6. And the resistance level I'll be keeping my eye on is around 43.5. But the main pullback support I'm going to be keeping my eye on is 38.5. Looking at Ethereum's daily chart, let's zoom in here. Ethereum starting to show a bit of a trend change on the Kumo Cloud as well. Let's turn our notes on from last time. And Ethereum pretty much moving exactly how we talked about. Broke through 25 and it's making a push for this target that we talked about yesterday, 26.35. So I really don't have much else new to say about Ethereum. In my opinion, this all depends on Bitcoin. But if Ethereum starts to lead this pump, if Ethereum gets above 26.35 leading into the London hard fork, things could get pretty crazy. So as far as price action goes, I'll be watching this level here around 28.17 as the next target. But if Ethereum's big resistance level at the moment that it needs to claim is that 26.35. So price targets for Ethereum are pretty simple. 26.35 is that big resistance level above there, 28.17. I'll be looking for a pullback to around 2,500. Below there, I'll keep my eye on 23.20 and then 2,200. And below that is the 1950 to 2,000, just under the 200 EMA. But as far as price action goes, that's kind of out of the way for now. So price targets, I'll keep my eye on for the time being. 26.35 resistance, 2,500 pullback, and below there, 23.20 to 2,000 or 2,200. Sorry. Looking at NEO's daily chart, NEO is looking very bullish in my opinion. Bit of a trend change possibly on the Kumo Cloud, but this is all because of Bitcoin. I mean, everything as far as bullish movement in market depends on Bitcoin. Let's turn on our notes here. RSI is sky high, showing a bit of an uptrend. Stochastic RSI a little high, but as far as price action goes, that is because of Bitcoin. So it all depends on what happens with Bitcoin. As far as price targets go for NEO, I keep my eye on this 45. It's pressed right up against that moving average. If it can build support above 45, it's got a shot to push towards 51 and 57 from there, popping out of the Kumo Cloud. If we jump to the 4-hour chart, you can see it's mimicking Bitcoin's stochastic RSI. As long as it can hold the support of around 43, still very bullish. Even a pullback to 41 is still bullish. 40, I kind of start to think that maybe things are slowing down for NEO. And below there, anything around here is going to be this price target here, which is right outside the Kumo Cloud. Can I grab it there? Now let's jump back to the one-day chart. That price target there is this one right here around 37, indicating that NEO is bouncing off of the bottom of the Kumo Cloud, and that would be some indication that it is not going to claim that 45 support level, making a push for 51. So price targets for NEO, pretty straightforward. 45 resistance, it's got to claim that and claim it strong. Then it is a shot to push for around 51 to 57 above there. Pullback targets for the time being, I want to see it hold that $43 support. Below there, I keep my eye on $41 to $40, but anything below there, I'd start to look for price targets around $37. Looking at QTUM's daily chart, I'm a big fan of QTUM for the very reason that QTUM was a fun ride for me. I got in around $7 or $8, got out around $33, taking out my initial with some profit, but I'm still holding some QTUM because they do have a halving coming up. It was originally, I believe, scheduled for September. I'm not sure if that's still the date. It might be moved to December. We can kind of touch on this in a future video, but QTUM is looking bullish. Let's turn our notes on and zoom in here. QTUM really is a great project. The thing about QTUM is their social media presence could use some work. They're kind of like Quant in that sense of very great projects, really not a lot of social media presence that I'm aware of, but for the most part, this chart is looking decent. Prices moved into the Kumo Cloud. If we turn the notes off here, you can see it's pressed right up against the moving average, got rejected, but if Bitcoin remains bullish, QTUM does have a shot to push up in price. Price targets it's got to get above is 8.7 is that big resistance level right around the moving average, 8.5, 8.7. But if we can get above there, it does have a shot for 10.1. We're not going to look at price targets above that. I mean, if we want to, it's around $12. But for the time being, let's keep our eyes on 8.5 to 10.1. As far as pullbacks go, if we jump over to the 4-hour chart, bit of a clear picture there. 7.5 is going to be that main one that I'll be watching. Let me just grab that price target. There we go. As far as price target, 7.5 to around 7.4. Anything below there, I might have some indication that QTUM is pulling back. But QTUM, like the rest of the market, is just relying on Bitcoin at this point. You can see stochastic RSI is very high on the daily and the daily and the 4 hour. So it really all just depends on Bitcoin. So price targets for QTUM, pretty straightforward, 8.5. It's got to get above there, 8.587. If it can manage to build support around there, it's got a shot to push for around 10.1 and $12 from there. Pullback targets are pretty close, around 7.5 to 7.4. Anything below 6.9 and QTUM is back out below the Kumo cloud. So price targets for QTUM, resistance levels 8.5 to 10.1. Pullback targets around 7.5 to 7.4, and anything below there would be around 6.9. Looking at AXS daily chart, if we zoom in here, price is actually dipping while I'm filming this. It was around $42 when I started filming this, and I've been keeping an eye on AXS closely the last couple of days because AXS is starting to show signs of possibly losing steam. Now, if we jump to the 4-hour chart, this is not a terrible setup still, but it's starting to show signs that AXS might be finally losing steam. That 44 price target was the one we wanted to see it get back above. That's changed now. So as far as price targets go, let's move some stuff around. It's got to get back above 43 and hold that strong. And then from there, you're going to want to see it get above 45. So 44, 45 is still that area that we talked about that AXS needs to get back above to remain in a bullish momentum. But for the time being, AXS, the last couple of days, price action has kind of been teetering on the downside. If you look at the RSI too on the 4-hour, you can see that downtrend. It's starting to lose a bit of steam down below 50 as well. So AXS might be moving down, but there's still hope where it is. So as long as price action manages to stay above 40, things are still good. But if it starts to dip below 40, if it can't reclaim 42, 43, and 44 and above, 44 to 45 above is where we'll get some indication prices are going to push up. But if it can't reclaim this price target of around $43, prices may be trending down. Let's take a quick look at some shorter time frames here. Actually, let's look at the 1-hour chart. Yeah, this is starting to look rough. As far as price action goes, it's bounced off of the moving average here, so it still does look okay. This is going to be a big one here, 39.9. So it actually dipped a little bit below $40 while I was filming this. So as far as price action goes, you can see here the Kumo cloud showing a bit of indecision on the 1-hour. Stochastic RSI is very low on the 1-hour. RSI is also pretty low though. So as far as price action goes on the 1-hour, you really want to see it, especially on the 1-hour, you want to see it stay above that moving average right there around $39, $40. And if we zoom in here, this is also a bit concerning. Baseline is shooting out, conversion line is out, and the lagging span is out as well on the 1-hour. If we take a look at the 2-hour, it's also setting up on the 2-hour for the lagging span to pop through conversion line, baseline. If you guys watched the Bitcoin movie that we did at the beginning of this, this is looking very similar. So AXS might be shooting down in price if it can't maintain this $39, $40 range. Again, this is not for sure. This is just as far as indicators go. So let's jump over to the 4-hour chart to get an idea of where price action is headed. As far as my price targets for now go, I'm going to keep my eye on the pullback to around 35. If it can't hold this 40 to 39.7 price range, there is a bit of support around 38 as well. I'll keep my eye on that price target around there. But AXS is starting to look like it might walk down in price. If it can't reclaim 43.44, that is going to be the resistance level I'll keep my eye on. If it can't reclaim 43.44, I'd start watching for prices to trend lower. So I'll be keeping my eye on this price target here of around 39.7 to start. And if it dips below 39.7, I'm going to start looking for the pullback to around $35 for AXS. So price targets for AXS for the time being, if it can't reclaim 43.2 to 44, I'd start looking for that 40 range. It's got to maintain that build support there, try and push back up. But if it loses 40, I'd start looking for a pullback to around 38.8, and then below there, I'd really start looking for that price target of around $35. I don't think AXS is going to go below 30. Below 30 would be a very big shocker as far as price action goes. It could test it and bounce, but for the time being, I'm just going to keep my eye on these price targets. I'm sure that it would have a strong bounce off $35 if it gets there, considering the way that AXS moves. So price targets for AXS, got to reclaim 43. If it can't reclaim 43, it's got to maintain 40. If it can't maintain 40, I'm going to start looking for a pullback anywhere from 38.8 to 35.6. All right, folks, that's all for today. If there's any charts you want to look at in the future, leave it down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. If you're not following me on Twitter, KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Anytime you tweet at me, I will always tweet back at you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.